Welcome, welcome everybody. Hang tight, we'll start soon. There's people here. Hello, welcome everybody to another exciting episode of PinTech Live. We are back at it with Elvira. Ooh. We're going to be working on this game. Kyle brought his clippers, so some clipping's going to happen. So let's get to it.
Happened actually. I'll fill you in. My assistant, my wonderful, talented assistant, and I have actually done a
edible bud,
bit of work.
and
What's up?
Rub.
MFP Tally. What's up, dude? I'll see you in a couple weeks, man. I'm excited to see you. Bring a case of beer for me. What's up, everybody?
Matthew Tally's here from Lynn's Arcade. Thanks for joining us, bro.
We have a Canadian here. I love Canada. I love our international contingent of people that come to view. It's cool. We got like people from Denmark. We got people from Croatia. We got people from Germany, Canada.
They just come for the free shipping code, Kyle.
You can't use it internationally. That's only $10 off,
yes,
dude.
you can. $10 off. Oh, yeah, sorry. They come for the $10 off code. Sorry. That's as best as we can do for those brutal international orders. We're trying.
Oh. Look, I found a washer head screw that might work. Aaron and I, we've been jamming on this Elvira a little bit here and there, and it's been tough. Like, I am struggling from this game was cobbled together, and also
Rob has the hacks. Nice.
like just like the distance of time between when we started and where we are now, it is hard. But we've made some good progress. Like, honestly, right now, this is going to be, we can't do it now. So let me explain what's going on after a word from our sponsor. No, I've been watching a lot of Linus Tech Tips again, and
Wait,
I always
was gonna play a sponsor reel.
You know.
Watch this.
What is the spotlight?
I don't even know what spotlight this is. This is great.
Oh, a shaker motor.
Dang. I don't know if we have those right now. Let's not do that.
My dude, I'm glad that you got that, and I hope that you found that enjoyable. You know those Al's Garage Band start buttons, Aaron, that say "Party On, dude"? I love sending those to people because they're super cool. And a friend of the show in Denmark, I saw him place an order, so I gave him one. Okay.
I want to party on, dude. What's that from?
I'll send you.
Party on, Wayne.
Al's Garage Band goes on a world tour, the greatest Alvin G pinball game. It's really fun, and it's got a really funny start button. Anywho, actually, I'm trying to think of other places that watch this show. I know that we've had some folks from Norway also. Per Monsen's been here a few times. He fixes and runs all the games at Tilt Bar in Oslo. Super awesome dude. That guy
Per Monsen's great.
is super cool. Anyways,
Daniel
it's
from
wild.
Croatia.
It is wild. So, what did everyone do last weekend? Anything fun? Emoto, what about you? I'll start with you.
Whoa. Well, I will say that it's pretty exciting that Mr. J. Crane put a Stern shaker motor in his Munster's BP cab.
Huh. Oh, interesting. That's
Make
cool.
like virtual pinball even crazier.
Yeah, well, it
That's
makes that
pretty
haptic
awesome.
feedback even stronger, right? That's important. Yeah, shaker motors are a little insane. You know something you can do, Mr. J. Crane? Instead of stepping down the voltage, alternatively, you could try rotating the weights. Right? The reason a shaker motor is so intense is because you've got two weights,
Oh yeah.
right, spinning, and as it spins, it throws everything out of rotation. It's not balanced, and the whole thing jiggles. If you actually, I did this on my TNA, if you put the weights like almost in line with each other, so if my palm was the weight, right, you have one facing down and have one facing like almost like this, it almost puts them in balance, and then you still get the excitement of a shaker, but it's not like insane. So when they're when they're both in the same plane, it'll make the whole game fall apart. But if you put them almost in the same plane, it shakes less, and you still get the enjoyment. So give that a shot.
Nice.
We can do shaker motor tuning one day. That's the problem is like, I have a really old house, 18-year-old house, and it's like
Haunted.
it's hopefully haunted. Is it haunted? You're in the most haunted room.
It's not haunted, actually.
Damn.
I wish it was. If anything's haunting it, it's your cats.
Well, they are little
Or
demons.
they're keeping the hauntedness away from the house. Actually,
Yeah, they keep the bad
Hello,
spirits at
Ben
bay.
Rob. Thanks for joining us.
But what's up, dude? But they do, when you do, like in my house, just the way it's constructed and the like really old floors and stuff like that, the shaker motor like actually felt like my house was going to fall over. You could feel it from like way across the room. So I started experimenting with shaker motor weight placement, and it makes it a bit more enjoyable. Watching live from the Sav Mall. That's awesome. I'll be there on Saturday afternoon.
Sav Mall.
Yeah, friends over at Graveface are opening up another location in Georgia. So they have the museum on the river, the record store, and then the Terror Vision store next door. Terror Vision is the like horror movie soundtrack record label.
That's Ben from Greyface?
That's Ben from Graveface, yep. And
Nice.
he's got
Ben,
a...
can we screen that awesome horror short film at Southern Fried Gaming Expo this year?
Yeah, I was going to ask Ryan,
I
but
want to add it to the list.
they've got they're opening up another location in the mall that is going to be a big arcade as well as record stuff.
Cool.
So
Nice.
Cruise and Blast, hell yeah.
Ooh, Ann Arbor Pinball Museum's open this weekend? Holy
Oh,
smoke.
dude, yeah, you got to go there. I'm disappointed I've never been, and I might never get the chance to go if this is actually the last show. So, I forgot what I was talking about. It probably wasn't very important. Shaker motors. We don't need to talk about shakers anymore. But yeah, I'm gonna go to Savannah and work on some games. That'll be fun. It'll be a whirlwind trip this time, just 24 hours or so. But we'll see how much I can get done in 24 hours.
The storm is coming.
Oh, thanks.
That
Yeah,
type
I
of
am
whirlwind?
wearing some Greyface apparel right now. Emoto, any updates from your arcade? Anything fun going on?
We're demoing.
Yeah.
Demolitioning.
How big
And
is your
I'm
sledgehammer?
waiting for a demolition man to come in. Lots of demo.
Wait, the Ann Arbor Museum. Pinball Rob, are you talking about the VFW? I've heard rumors that the VFW may not be doing public events anymore. Clay Harrell's spot. I don't know if that's different.
Yeah, no, it's the same place.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think they were. Some people were saying that this might be their last year of to the public.
Yeah.
Maybe, but hopefully it's just a rumor.
Yeah, hopefully. But yeah, and then very soon after, I'll be going to California, so go do my own pinball show thing. That'll be fun. Maybe I'll try to bring some sort of a silly bit of Marco swag, so if you see me, I'll give you something funny.
Yeah.
But
Hello, Gabor. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, yeah, wonderful. Nice to have you. Oh, from Austria, see? More international contingent here. We've got people from the highlands of the mountainous place of Austria. Welcome. I forgot what I was talking about. I am so tired right now. I don't know why, but I went to go see a show on Monday, and I didn't get home till 2 a.m., and now I just can't sleep anymore. So I'm like running on like... I'm running on like literal fumes. I screwed my whole cycle up. I guess that's what people talk about when they're old and they can't go out anymore. Anyways.
Oh yeah, and Erin Sweeney is our camera op for today. She was on our show last week and is
She's
joining
right there.
us again.
Yep.
Thanks, Erin. So if you hear another voice, that's her.
Yep.
Hanging out.
So Erin
Helping
was
out.
also helping me work on Elvira. Let's look at that. Nice. You pan the camera exactly where it needs to be. So I brought my
And
clippers.
if y'all are wondering where Midge is at, you can find him at PinFest. He's at Pin Festival up in Allentown, Pennsylvania. It is setup day today, and the show is tomorrow and Saturday. Best pinball show to buy stuff at.
To buy garbage and
like
treasure.
The most amazing pinball swap meet weekend ever. Project pins, rare obtainium parts that you're never gonna find online. Just dig through the boxes and find it. We're all sad that we're not there too, digging through boxes.
No, I'm actually glad I'm not there digging through boxes.
Oh, Kyle.
My wallet wouldn't be very happy if I was there digging through boxes. There's so much crap. I bought so much garbage there last time.
Oh, Sarah is in the chat.
What's up, Sarah?
Oh, yeah. Hopefully you're not the one driving. Sarah and Ashley are headed up there too. They left early this morning. It's a 10.5-hour drive with no stops.
Yeah, it's a long one. Emoto and I did it. It was fun with Emoto because we
just put
just
on
chilling.
Lord of the Rings, and
Yeah.
by the time you finish the extended version of the trilogy, you're there. It's perfect.
Yeah. So, we've been working on Elvira.
Safe travels, y'all.
I noticed that there's actually a lot of GI out, and I'm glad I turned it on, and we'll figure out why. But I finally got to the point, I'm 99% sure, where all of the busted or the stuck screws are now unstuck. I've replaced like at least 12 to 15 T-nuts. I brought my little teeny baby bolt cutters, and these were extraordinarily useful compared to giganto bolt cutters. So that was helpful. The problem I've run into now that I was mentioning, like the distance between when we started working on this versus now, there's a lot of hardware problems that I forgot about and I should have remembered. I mean, here, this is an easy example right here. That's not right. They're weird flathead screws. They're the correct length.
Whoa, those are long.
Yeah, but they're not the correct head. And like I could put them back in, but I don't want to. This is the other side that has one slot and one blown out Phillips. So we don't want to use these. I want to get the correct stuff eventually.
That deserved a... What do you call him?
It's time, right? Here's the other long. These are much too long also. These should be a bit shorter. So I will figure out what these are, and we will get this fixed up soon. I'm going to get this stuff tomorrow. So next time when we come in here to work on this game, hopefully I'll have most of this reassembled. I have to get the ramps. We will get the ramps in there, and we still have to do all the physical stuff and fix all of the nasty, gross underside of what's going on. I have given up trying to get this game super clean. It's not worth it anymore. I want to get it out of here. This game will only ever be so clean. We have gone over this spiel, but it will look very good. One thing Erin mentioned, can you put this camera on, Emoto?
Yeah.
One thing
Maybe.
Erin mentioned when we put just 2 rubbers on, oops, and I am using white rubber because it looks better. But when you put like a nice white rubber onto the game, the rest of the game finally kind of starts to come together, and it pops, it looks cleaner. I've been staring at this thing as gross as it was when we first started versus now when it's actually quite clean, and it starts to look a lot better. So I put down a couple pieces of Mylar. I finally got the launch ramp off and cleaned and reinstalled. I've got Mylar up here for bat. I've got the Mylar here where the ball plops down off of this shooter ramp. So now it is just time to put it back together. Some things I ran into, and I want to do this correctly. I was going to start laying some plastics down, and you kind of can, but this plastic that sits on the left side of the game has a big fly ball deflector on it that is riveted to the plastic. So I'm going to probably just bring this home, and when I go to work tomorrow, I'll drill this out and reinstall it on the new plastic.
Oh my gosh.
The problem is with these reproduction plastic sets, though, is they don't include like molded pieces of plastic, right? So this is just a normal piece of butyrate plastic that is then warmed up and bent. It wouldn't be very hard to make a new one if you were to flatten it out, cut it out of PETG, and then bend it yourself. But I think I'll be able to clean it up enough where it won't look like too unsightly to go on the new plastic. It is a little gross, but we'll see. We'll see what we can do. If not, might need to bust out the scroll saw and cut a new one. But those are the things that I'm kind of running into now that I want to be able to fix. There's some brackets that I need to find and re-rivet onto. There are new pieces of plastic, so some stuff I have to do back at the office, but there is a decent amount I can still do. I'll probably talk and put some of these lane guides back on, but a lot of the GI is out, and I'm curious as to why. So the first thing I'm going to do is start wiggling, but we could probably put the other camera on. Some people are talking in the chat. It looks a lot cleaner than what you said you would do, and you're being... I know. Yeah, it is. I'm going further into it than I said I would go into it, but I just can't not do it as best as I can.
Black Belt Master, thanks for the first time chat. Black Belt's an awesome pinball game, by the way. So silly. They said, does oxidation present a reasonable problem with a pin of this age?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
One of the big struggles I've been having with this game since we started is corrosion problems. A lot of these...
Jeremy, you can see the free shipping codes right here underneath me. It scrolls at the beginning of the show all the way to the end. And I will go ahead and drop it in the chat too, so you all have it.
This is part of the corrosion issue we've been having. This is a screw that would probably hold a post down, and through years of just southern weather, they have corroded together. This is a T-nut. The T-nut and the screw have corroded together, and no matter how hot I tried to heat this up to break that corrosion, they just are absolutely stuck. So a lot of these things, the big struggle we've had over the last few weeks is just having to cut these out. It's also hard and unwieldy with a gigantic bolt cutter trying to move around inside of a pinball game, so it's been pretty insane. But this is about as worst as it can, the worst it can get, right? Without this game, if this game had, it's still in okay shape, it's just presenting a lot of issue that I never would have known, until we started taking it apart. I thought it was just going to be a nasty game that I'd need to do a lot of work on. But now it turned out to be a nasty game that required a lot of other work I wasn't expecting to do. But what you gonna do? I want to see why the lights aren't working, so we're gonna pop this open really quick. This translite needs to be wiped down. But let's see. before I start poking, I guess I kind of want to let's do a little bit of, instead of just poking and trying and actually figuring out what's going on. Let's see if we can find a commonality, because this might help teach people some things. These games have 4 general illumination strings. They are denoted by color, and generally there are 2 for the insert and 2 on the playfield. Most of the time, and this is Williams, Bally, Data East, everyone, you'll have one set doing like half of the playfield, another set doing the other half of the playfield. Generally, it's not split left to right, but let's see what we've got here. So I see general illumination here, purple and white purple.
Do you want to show that with the close-up camera? Because you're kind of
yes.
very far.
I was figuring I'd actually move that in eventually.
That'd be cool. Oops. Let's turn that on. And then, there we go. Nice. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's see. This thing out of the way. So here's a general illumination socket. We've got purple and white purple. It's AC, so you have one side of the AC, the other side of the AC. We have, let me try to find more. Oh, here's a bunch of GI over here. This is how another way you might see a lot of general illumination as well, is the daisy chain bit. I'm trying to see where this feeds in from. Okay, so this is our yellow string, but it's not yellow because every single wire on these sockets is yellow. It is because it is the yellow strand. So in my fingers right now, I have the white yellow, and there's our solid yellow. And we can see how those are daisy chained, or this would be wired serially, serial wiring. So that means it enters in one terminal and then is strung onto another, where it then makes another connection, is strung onto another. That is how switch matrices are also wired. That's why we'll have things, people will call it doubled up or something like that. The technical term would be wired in series. So what we have is our big fat yellow wires coming in here on the, we'll just call it the upper terminal for orientation's sake. And then I have a yellow wire here in my fingers that goes from the upper terminal on this socket to the next upper terminal, and another yellow wire that goes to the next upper terminal, and then another yellow wire that so on, right? So this is all on one string. But this would be the yellow strand. These are working. I have light coming out of yellow. Let's see if it's yellow and purple on the playfield. So I'm going to put my head down at the bottom. I'll move you guys along too.
Hello, Daniel. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Daniel. Welcome. These are actually, it's interesting, these are wired, parallel wiring a lot. Sometimes, like, you'll notice that they'll bring in, like, well, you can see that these are also run serially, not parallel, sorry. You've got them doubled up here, too, even the feed, right? So these,
tilt up a little?
yep. So these come in and also go somewhere else.
Sweet.
And again, generally things are doubled up from the back until they end up being single at the front, right? Because all the wires come in at the back of the playfield and end up dispersing their way up to the front. You can see that in like the main harness, right? The trunk is very thick and fat. There's a lot of wires back here. And as we get closer and closer to the flippers, it gets a lot more sparse until it's only a small strand of wires versus a gigantic chunk of wires down here, right? Anyways, I forgot what I was talking about. Let me think for a second. So here's another bit.
My bad. How's that? Probably better.
Oh, and our audio's working, so that means that the lavs are working today. Oh.
Well, no, I had the Yeti turned on as well, so it was echoey. So I just turned that off. So, y'all, while you listen to Kyle, let us know if he drops off again. He has the lavalier mic on from last week, and we were having some weird mic just completely dropping off.
Yeah. So can y'all hear me
so
now?
I made him put it back on today to test to see if it's
You want to just
doing
unwrap
that
it and plug
again,
it back in?
because then I will know if I need to replace the mic or not, or if
Yeah.
there was some other issue.
I'm going to talk a bit
Okay.
for just a second, and then we will resume with the lesson. I'll continue talking while I'm looking.
Konnichiwa.
Pinball is fun.
Okay,
Pinball is
desu ka?
cool. Can you guys hear me? Am I cutting out? I need to find more light bulbs, but I can't find them. Okay, here's some more.
ピンボールが大好きでしょ？楽しいよ。
What? What's going on? I don't understand.
Digirati was speaking Japanese, so I was just trying to communicate.
Emoto's just going back in the mother tongue.
Black Belt Master, while he's doing that, are you Black Belt Master because you love the pinball machine, Black Belt? Or are you a true bona fide Black Belt Master? And if so, which type of martial arts are you a master of?
Black belt the pinball machine. Rules.
Okay, so
Spooky Luke. Fun, cool, and hard. Hello from Spooky Headquarters.
what's up, dude? Nice to see you,
That's how
man.
I imagine how you would say it. Luke, is a Spooky at Pinfest this weekend? Did y'all make the drive?
They were last year, I know.
Yeah. No, I don't know about last year, but I know that
were
they were there
last
the year
year.
before. I missed you at Texas, my friend. I think I've discovered something, but I don't know what I've discovered yet, so let's bring this up here. Oh, nice. Owns the pinball game and is a first-degree black
I
belt.
just had weird deja vu. We've had this conversation before already, Black Belt Master. And that is awesome. For both that you have the pin and that you're first degree in Taekwondo. The party's in here, Flipstream. Welcome to the party. Party. Monsters. No,
So
I was gonna
here's-
say animals.
Here's what's actually going on. Corwin and Spooky Luke are at
Spooky Luke.
Pinfest.
Aren't
so
y'all both Spooky Lukes, though?
he's handsome Luke, and then the other Luke is super buff Luke, like mega strong Luke. I don't know.
They're both handsome Lukes.
That's fine, but that would be the first descriptor.
Spooky Luke 1, Spooky Luke 2.
There you go. So we actually don't have a problem here, and let me show you what I found.
Squared.
The lamps underneath the slingshots are actually feature lamps. So we have, and actually this one's funny too, because what I said earlier about games not being wired like left and right, this is one of the rare games where it looks like it is wired left and right. But we had lamp sockets under the playfield, or under the slings, not lighting up. When we come down here and examine, actually the other side is easier to see. When we examine, those are actually feature lights. For people that aren't 100% sure or know what that is, a feature light is something that's controlled. The computer controls that lamp. So we have they are still wired in series, but we have our lamp drive and our return. And we have a diode here. Actually, I'm sorry, this is the return, this is the drive. So these are going to be called by the computer, not just constantly be on. We will see, though, something that I did find kind of curious, though. Purple GI, yellow GI on the other side. So it is wired left and right. I find that humorous. You don't see that very often, but this game is one of the weird ones where it is like that.
Hello, Mr. Baxter.
So we don't actually have a problem. But there was something I also wanted to show off that I see a lot of newbies doing this. When I was like training all the newbies that wanted to work on games at the Pinball Museum on Fix-It Night. when we change our rubbers, there's some things you want to look out for. This might be really hard to show, but we'll see. But for let me crank up the ring light here, and maybe we can see this. So look at that lower switch here.
I would turn off the ring light.
Is it worse?
Yeah.
So I need light like right there. Can you increase the something?
Oh, I see, because you're trying to see inside of there.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe turn the light on. Maybe. No.
It's going to look like crap, but you'll be able, okay, yeah, you can see what I want to show.
I'm
So,
gonna yeah, go super close. I'll go even closer too.
so do we see a problem here?
Wait for it. Almost.
Flipstream, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the problem? Oh. Yeah.
Definitely. And they're also not sitting very flush. So if we started a game right now, we would find that this kicker, the slingshot would kick because it sees a switch closure. But when it kicks, do you see how can you see how they're still bent and touching? The contacts aren't touching, but the leaf blades are touching. So we just need to bend this back. What you will find a lot of the time, though, when you install new rubbers on a pinball game, the old ones are, actually, here's a great example. The old rubbers are, here, yeah, let me bring it up to the camera. This is a, this is like 1.25 inches.
It's just stuck like that.
Yeah.
So great.
They find a shape, and they sit like that. So this is a very worn out rubber.
Yeah.
And but if this was our slingshot rubber per se, you would put a new tighter rubber band on there, and then the the switches would either be adjusted too close, and you'd get them machine gunning, or it just would not work the way it should. So it is always a good idea, you know, especially if it's a much older game, to go in there and readjust things. I'm going to do that now. We'll get a quick adjustment off. If we fired this game up this way, though, the slingshot would fire once and it would never fire again because the switch is stuck closed. The reason we wouldn't get a machine gunning flipper in this instance is because the switch is never going to change state. It's always stuck closed. The way that it was all cattywampus and the blades were touching like this, it would fire one time, and even if the switch moved, it would never lose the contact where it's making contact with the switch down here, right? What would happen with a machine gunning flipper, and that's when it just continuously fires, generally that's because like the rubber is too tight and the switch needs to be opened. So the switches will be, here, I'll come closer so you can see my cool hand motions. The switches will be really close. The slingshot will then kick and it will open up again. And when the slingshot comes back and the rubber springs back, the switch is going to tap the back side, and then the computer is going to say, oh, it got hit again, and it's going to kick again. But that happens like, and most of these old games are not smart enough to stop doing that, and it melts things and makes everything explode and be bad and blow fuses, etc. So I'm going to adjust this switch here. I don't think my hands are clean enough to touch the rubber, so I'm going to see how I can do it with just my little fingers, or just my tool and not touching the rubber. So,
and thanks for the follow, Black Belt Master, Kredinger,
oh, cool.
and the Megabuck.
Thanks, mate.
Y'all snuck in there. I need to make a little sound anytime the new followers go.
When we're adjusting switches, you always want to try to get the blades.
That's called a metal snake. Bite.
We want to try to keep the blades in line. We want to keep them parallel with each other, right? So that's why I'm kind of giving this a twist. Most of the time you want to do these adjustments on the switch from below.
To make that sound.
When we're making the adjustments from the top, you can be twisting only a portion of the switch blade, which can also cause things to crack or break. We want to do it from below because that's where the base of the metal is. The reason I'm doing it from the top is because it is only bent in the section that's sticking up through the playfield. So it's okay for me to kind of untwist it from this side. But we're going to try to get them sitting as parallel as possible. We want to make sure that the switches are resting up against the rubber. That way, whenever the ball or anything makes contact with any portion of the slingshot, we want them to be sprung against the rubber so we have action, right? Even though we hate slingshots and they're the bane of our existence, it makes pinball exciting. So any sort of action, right, we want any interaction with this rubber to start closing those switches so we can have that excitement. I'm going to say that these are adjusted okay.
Have these switch adjusters.
What's up?
The switch adjusters, the leaf switch adjuster you're using?
Yes, you definitely, everyone needs a set of these. They're super cheap. SWK kit, is that what it's called? Nice. Aaron knows all the part numbers.
Yeah. I'll drop a link in there.
But that looks okay for now. If you end up needing to adjust the switches more, you always want to adjust the switch with the backing blade. This is the switch with the backing blade. Can you guys see that when I push this out of the way? No? Here. Let me,
Yeah.
No, you can't see.
The middle blade?
Do you see that middle blade in there now?
Yeah.
Right? So that is the blade that puts tension on this blade. If we are going to try to close or move these blades, oh God. What are you doing?
Wait. Oh no.
Emoto broke the stream.
Oh. I just.
Did it go off? Can you add it as a new layer or can you? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Wait.
Flew. It literally flew away.
I was gonna say try to. Oh, there you go. Try to duplicate it, but.
Yeah.
Never mind. You know how to do this.
I got this. If I could just scroll.
Are you going to eyeball it or use a feeler gauge? Just eyeball it. There's no reason to measure most things in pinball. It's all a feel, right? And you set the game up how you want it. But if we're going to make a tension adjustment on something, we want to do it on the switch that has the tensioning blade, which you can see if you're looking. Well, now it's underneath. Now it's moving. There it is. It's almost in the center. So that blade right there that's not moving, that one is a thicker gauge, and it puts tension on this guy. This is supposed to be the stationary blade, right? So when the ball comes and hits the slingshot, the longer blade is the one that moves and makes contact with that stationary blade. So if we need to close the gap or open the gap, we want to adjust that switch. These ones look perfect. This one over here, one of them kind of looks like crap. So I'm going to adjust that really quick. Most of the time, I'll be 100% honest, I use my fingers to adjust switches. It is easier than using a tool most of the time. But when you're trying to make fine adjustments, the tool comes in really handy. Let me show you what I mean, actually, instead of just saying what I do, because I can actually put it into practice if we move this camera over here. Sort of. It's going to be really crap, but we can kind of show it.
Okay. Trying to save y'all some vertigo or motion sickness.
Okay, I think we've avoided motion sickness now. Oh, never mind. You put it back on.
Okay.
Okay, that gap is ginormous.
Whoa, cool. Hold on, this is great. Hold on, wait. Can I see? Oh, look, I can see through it to the other side.
Whoa.
Okay.
That's bitchin'. Good job.
Wait, all right. What do we? Okay.
So right now we're looking at a switch that's really, really open.
It's very
slingshot switches are another switch that are wired in series. So the actual wires that go back and tell the computer what if it's closed or not is only attached to one switch. And then there's just another set of wires that go over to the other switch. So there is, I'm not going to overcomplicate it. But this switch right here, if the ball was going to hit, if it hit this lower switch, the slingshot would fire. That's why there's two switches, to make sure that you get good action no matter where the ball hits. If there's only one switch, the ball would need to hit the rubber in just the right way. This switch right here, you can see, is a humongous opening. This switch kind of breaks what I was saying about not using a tool because it's actually kind of cramped, but what I'm going to do is just push on it with my finger from beneath and just try to close the gap. Sometimes you can get it, sometimes it's a pain in the butt. I'm going to use a screwdriver to also kind of help me out here, just to give me an extension. But we're just going to close it up. Sometimes you'll get really lucky and close it up and it will just be exactly perfect, kind of like it is now. There's a bit of a wanger in that thing. Yeah. I'm going to try to get the wanger out of it. These are the technical terms you need to use. I'm sorry for the international audience that probably has no idea why I'm using a word called wanger, but it's we want to do is, like I said, we want to keep the contacts in plane with each other, right? We want to keep them parallel, so when one portion of it starts moving, the other side is right in its path to get hit. I'm going to tension the blade out just a teeny bit from underneath to try to get it in line with the rubber a little better. And that looks okay. We might need to adjust that a bit closer, but let's see how it plays, right? There's no a wanger. When I use the word wanger, I'm using it in the term of it's cockeyed a little bit. We don't want it to be cockeyed. It's got a wanger in it. I think one of my shop teachers taught me a lot of these terms, and I'm sorry I perpetuate them. But he's the one who taught me cattywampus, so.
Cattywampus.
I love cattywampus.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Like, that's like the word I use when I have a kid, and like I can't say the F word.
Baxter called you a wanger.
No, M. Kunzelman called Colin a wanger.
Oh.
Y'all are weird.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Dang, that's messed up.
Yeah, gosh, you guys need to stop using such rude language. But I don't know, there's kind of a lesson in that,
switch,
right?
Yeah, biting switch.
I think the only other thing I'm really going to do is I'm just going to kind of throw rubbers on this game in every place that I can see where rubbers need to go. I'm going to put the rollover lanes on the top. Now that we've realized that the GI is not actually out, and those are some feature lamps. And we'll get it kind of set up for being done-ish. I need to find some more spacers. These games use these. I hate this era of game, honestly. They're just a pain in the butt to work on. They use a lot of like really weird, like non-standard parts. These are the lane guides, right? The flipper lane guides. So you've got one screw here in the center that holds it to the play field. And then you've got another screw that holds it on the top that is threaded, goes through the play field. But when these things come off, like almost every time, the little spacer that goes in between the play field and this thing just goes missing. I need to figure out what that is and where they are and if we have them. I think we do. If not, I'll have to make something, which is easy. You can just get clear, or like a hollow tube as such. And you can use that as a spacer, but there's just so much weird hardware. Then Williams kind of got it together later with their plastic lane guides and just used standardized hardware. I don't know. But this era of game, generally you'll find a lot of hardware that is non-standard. And that does make it hard when this might be your only pinball game and you're taking it apart and you have no idea what is wrong. Because it goes together, so how can it be wrong? But when you see so many of these dang things, I know what's right and what's wrong now, and I need to get it right. It bugs me too much. It's my OCD kicking in. But I'm going to put these light bulbs in here anyways. Yay! I want to put it in test mode and see if those things flicker, using LEDs in the general illumination sometimes can cause them to flicker, the way that the lamps are driven. So give me 1 second. Test mode. Why does that keep beeping? Let's see, that's the sound of the soundboard rebooting, the dong. You'll hear that on WPC games also, but the pot's really dirty. It's super groovy. Okay, well the sound works, so that's good.
Ooh, let's party!
Light, organ.
Okay, sounds good. The thing that we had to look out for is this game actually has 2 soundboards. We've talked about this many times.
This is the best System 11 pin in the late 80s. Maybe that's what he said.
I don't agree. I think it's one of the best, but my favorite would be Whirlwind. I think that's my favorite game, a System 11 game.
The storm is coming.
I think it's the best playing game. This is a really good overall package, but if I had to make that argument, I'd argue Whirlwind. But this is a strong contender. It's got great music and sound, and it's hilarious. But
yeah, I don't know. Does Party Monsters have adult mode like Scare Stick does?
No. No, this does not have any adult mode. So these do flicker pretty bad. I don't know if the camera is going to be able to pick it up. Let me bring it a little closer. So you need to use non-ghosting bulbs in those positions, and I don't have any non-ghosting bulbs with me, so I'll just make sure I do that before. They might flicker so fast that this camera cannot pick it up.
Yet, but it will come soon.
Can you switch the cameras? What's wrong?
Yeah. Nothing. Flipstream says, do System 11s do the pulsated voltage for the bulbs? I know Sam Whitestar does.
I really don't know how they drive them perfectly, but the way that they are driven causes these bulbs to flicker. It has something to do with the lack of resistance. Yeah, can you turn the exposure down a bit? You might be able to capture it.
What am I trying to...
You can see it. No, stop right there. Stop right there. That's a perfect example.
Flickering? You want to see it flickering?
So that's what ghosting looks like. So yes, I guess that is the way that these lamps are driven, right? If you think about it with an incandescent bulb, right? An incandescent bulb has resistance because the way an incandescent bulb is lit, right, is applying electricity to it, and it makes a certain combination of metals glow white hot and emit light. These games were designed to work with that style of bulb, right, with a lot of resistance. LEDs basically have no resistance. Let's take something out of context a little bit, but it might help by putting a number to it. Let's say that it takes 5 volts to fully light an incandescent bulb in a pinball game. 5 volts to get it at full brightness. But the bulb will start lighting up around 4 volts, maybe. So you can get them to kind of glow on and then glow off. An LED might take a half a volt or 1 volt to light up fully, and that's it. There is not a lot of dimming with LEDs. They're kind of either on or off, especially at these voltages where incandescent bulbs are lit. The reason these flicker like that is the way that they're driven, because the logic and the hardware that drives them are built around a bulb that requires a higher voltage to get them to illuminate. So what Flipstream is kind of saying is the way it's pulsed, right? The reason we're seeing them flicker like that is because I think the way that they're driven is sending power to them many, many times over the period of a half a second or something like that. And that's why we see the LEDs kind of go on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. It looks a lot worse on camera. In real life, you kind of can't tell. Can you see, Aaron, like, can you tell that they're flickering a little bit?
No. I mean, I see they're flickering.
You can kind of see it, but like, unless you have like massive OCD, it doesn't like bother a lot of people.
I'm scared.
Well, yeah, I can put a standard bulb in, but Emoto, put the camera back on this thing.
No.
But you can see, right? Like this is an LED being lit with constant voltage. This is one being driven by the computer. I'll go get an incandescent bulb. Let me show you.
Yeah, this is cool. Yeah, roller pinball.
So the way you get around this problem, though, is to use what they call a non-ghosting bulb. Pinball people, they call this phenomena ghosting. And what the non-ghosting bulbs do is they have a couple resistors and a capacitor built in, and that eliminates this issue. So no big deal. I'll go back and grab some non-ghosting bulbs, and it'll look good.
Mm.
So you see that?
Look at that filament pulsing.
So that is, and that's what I was talking about with like that voltage threshold, right? The way that they come on and off. One of my favorite things, and I hate playing my Twilight Zone because I did it this way now, is I really can't wait to get an LED OCD kit for that game. Something you lose, and this is why I don't like putting LEDs in feature lights, you lose that glow on, glow off, right? Can you see that incandescent bulb glowing on and glowing off? The incredibly talented and clever programmers, I think that was the incredibly talented, and I'm very lucky to call him a friend, Mark Panaccio, did the software for this game. But what they do is they would program in these beautiful light sweeps and the light shows. And the light shows really rely on that burn on, burn off of those lamps. You see these beautiful sweeps in the way that they'll point you in certain directions. Where with the LEDs, it's just kind of like cacophonous, like on off, and it loses so much of its beauty. So that's what it looks like. That's ghosting, and that's what a feature lamp looks like. That's cool. I'm glad the camera could capture that.
Have you ever played with the LEDs OCD boards?
Yeah, I've installed them in a bunch of games. Ryan at Comet is going to send me one for my Twilight Zone, and we were supposed to do a video, or like a PinTech installation video on it. The only problem with that, and it's not really a problem, but I need to uninstall all of the non-ghosting LEDs in my Twilight Zone to get the full experience of it. Because
I remember this combo.
Yeah, the way that the LED OCD board works is magic, but it requires a standard bulb because through some sort of like pulse modulation or something, it eliminates that and allows them to have multiple levels of dim and bright to get the beauty of those light shows back. Next time you go.
The flicker and the ghosting are slightly different.
What?
Terminology-wise.
No,
Extreme saying that's not ghosting. Ghosting's a low brightness glowing from small residual voltage. Non-ghosting bulbs make it so LEDs won't come on until they get about 20% of
20% of their load. Yeah, so you'll see that a lot more common with old Bally games. The way that old Bally games are driven, a lot of those bulbs will end up being like half lit. I think the one thing you'll see too is like if we were actually playing the game, some of those flickerings might not be nearly as noticeable, but the non-ghosting bulbs will solve that issue in this socket. But yes, that is true. The ghosting is when the bulb stays just ever so slightly lit. Because of the way that the lamp matrix is wired, there's always like a little residual voltage that is present. And like I was saying, right, it takes 1 volt maybe to light one of these LEDs. There might be a residual like 0.8 of a volt on the matrix at all time, where it takes 2.5 to 3 volts to get the incandescent bulb to always light. So yes, there is a difference, and thank you for pointing that out. Oh, now we're talking about vector monitors. Yeah, what Danisha said there about the way vector monitors work. I mean, and you'll notice that too. I think it's come back a lot with people getting way more into retro games again, with like, you know, where back in our day we remember games looking so different, and then we go back and play our childhood games now on these LED monitors and things look so different. But when people were making these sprites back in the day, they were doing them on CRT monitors. So when someone would draw a character in a side-scrolling video game, right, on a CRT, they would look like they had so much more detail because there was less resolution. Nowadays, when you go through that same game on a LED TV, it looks blocky and like crap, right? So, but yeah, you lose a lot of beauty with the way those games were meant to be. If people don't know how CRT raster monitors or vector monitors work, go find a YouTube video with someone whose voice doesn't like sound like nails on a chalkboard and like learn how they work. It's insane. Lost audio. Okay, do we have any audio? Is it totally gone? Someone say thumbs up or thumbs down if there's audio or not. Did I unplug it? No.
I hear you.
You hear me. Good. I can hear you both. Audio is fine. I can hear you. It's back now. Oh, okay. Well, will someone let us know if it's cutting in and out? Because we were having an issue with that last week, which is why I have this microphone I awkwardly keep stepping around every time I move over here.
Can you hear me now? Good.
Good.
Maybe it was just cutting out for certain people and not everybody. Are you dancing?
But I would definitely look and see how CRTs work and then learn how vector monitors work. It's insane and super, super cool. Anyways, it is good to know most of these feature lamps work. I do have some more GI up here that is not working, so I'm going to throw some of these LEDs in and figure out what is going on with those, and we will just continue. That socket works. All these sockets kind of work. That is good. I should do a flasher test, I guess, while I have all the flash bulbs exposed. Flashers don't really go bad until they do, but a lot of the time they don't go bad. Oh, there's a piece of glass in that lamp socket. Weird. We're going to extract that piece of glass. Can you hear me now? Good.
Yep. Thanks for the follow, K. Jetterkovitz.
Wow, all sorts of follows today. Thank you. Thank you all. It cuts in and out if you're downloading too many pinball manuals in the background.
That's you, Aaron?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for following us.
Oh, it wasn't me.
Oh, it's someone else. Okay.
Danisha says it cuts in and out if you're downloading too many pinball manuals in the background. Happens in the follow along in the schematics with Kyle episodes.
Those are always fun.
I don't have a lot of stuff going on his computer.
What?
I think it is Kyle's computer though.
What's going on?
And not the mic. Nothing.
My computer's been annoyed with us lately.
They're calling you out for downloading schematics while you're doing it.
I'm not doing nothing. That poor computer is just working right now, streaming whatever the hell I'm doing right now to the internet. So,
What did you just do there? What is that?
what's up? Oh, I'm just putting some light bulbs into some sockets right now. Nothing really too interesting, but I'm just trying to get all of them stuffed because I want to figure out why the rollover lane sockets are dead. It could be a simple thing like a wire became disconnected because they are all wired in serial. But I also wanted to throw...
Oh, nice column.
one thing we haven't done on this game, and I'm kind of not ready to do it, but I kind of want to do it. I want to drive some solenoids. We've never, you know what? Maybe not yet, because I haven't checked fuses, but I would like to see it drive something. I especially want to see it drive the flash lamps, like I said, because everything's open, so we kind of could check that in just a second. Sorry, my brain is just all over the place right now. I have all the solenoids disconnected because I wasn't sure if we were ready to do that when we set it up. Let's do this. I am going to yank the fuses out of the PPB board here. Or sorry, the auxiliary driver board. PPB board is a data east term. Let me take a sip of my delicious water here. What does the internet say?
Edible Bard says, do a restart. We try to do that before the show every time.
Oh yeah, no, I turn off
For
my
OBS's
I turn off
sake
my
in
laptop
general.
every time we shut the stream down. I'm not going to
No,
repeat
not a-
that, but
Not
that is
a
true.
shutdown, but just a little restart. Digirati's right, actually. That
Yeah,
is the reason.
it's all just porn. Let me yank fuses really quick. Let's make sure that these fuses are correct. So 2.5. You always want to check fuses on games that you get in. I tell people this all the time. I'm never going to stop saying it.
Ooh, yeah, Kyle worked on Bride of Pinball on PinTech once back in the day.
Yeah, for a while.
Michael has a issue. He has a question on Bride of Pinball right eye issue. If you have any advice on troubleshooting that.
What's it doing?
What is the issue? The ball's not sticking in the right eye?
Moto with her one-liners. This is a 2 amp. This is a 2.5. Ah, wait. F2A is supposed to be a 2.5, and it has a 2, so I can put that 2 where it's supposed to be a 2 and put this 2.5 where it's supposed to be a 2.5. All right, look at that. We're making things better already.
Nice.
F5
the right
is...
eye registers, but doesn't kick the ball into the shooter lane for the next eye.
So,
Oh, like it locks the ball, but then no other ball comes out.
yeah, so...
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what you might see is registering could be triggered by a ball completed switch. So just check all the switches in that line, right? You might have a switch at the beginning of the ramp that says, hey, the ball's coming. Then you might have a switch at the end of the ramp that says, hey, the ball made it. And then there's a physical switch on the eye that says, the ball is in here, continue, right? So if the switch in the eye isn't actually working, which might not give any audio signal or anything like that, you might not be able to progress and send the next ball out. So put it in switch test and put a ball in the eye. Works when the left eye is first.
Ooh.
Well, poke both of the eyes with a ball. Get a ball and put them in both of the eye sockets and figure out what order things work in. I'm going to guess you have a dead switch. But remember to check it with a ball, not your finger, right? You need to interact with the pinball game the same way that the pinball game interacts with itself, right?
Ooh.
Switch text works with the ball in the eye, both eyes. What about all of the trough switches? You want to make sure that those are all working correctly. The only way that that game locks balls is in the eyes or at the end of that ramp, right? Well, it starts a game, but I think those games are stupid and they'll start if it sees like only one ball or two balls in the trough. Like if your second ball in the trough switch isn't working, maybe that could cause a problem later down. So I'd say now the next thing you might want to do is check all of your trough switches. That might be a good idea. Huh. Yeah. Check there. Check and see what that is, and report back. And again, check them with the ball. All the switch switches working. Do a factory reset. Yank the RAM out and just, or just do a complete factory reset and see what might happen there. That's interesting. There's obviously a problem when things are going. So whenever I have a problem like that, I'll try to simulate what is going on in switch test and see if we have any false openings or closings, right? Maybe there is a short in the switch matrix somewhere where when two things are closed at the same time, you know what I mean? Interesting. Oh, wow. The camera's...
This camera.
It's autofocus, or is it...
Oh, there we go.
There it goes.
Sorry about that.
Oh, it doesn't
It's
matter.
like beer goggles.
That was weird.
Just try poking around more with the ball and see if you can find something in correlation. If you do have something that is broken, you know, when you say that it works if the left eye is first but not the right eye, well, I wonder if the right eye might be underneath, you know, where that is in the switch matrix and has a wire perhaps fallen off, or you know what I mean? It might not be a bad idea to take the head out also once you've kind of exhausted things and just look and see if you can find something that doesn't look right. Sometimes that's the best way to proceed too. You know where the issue might be, so why not explore a little?
He said he did put in a Rotten Dog MPU.
Oh, well, I'm not going to say what I want to say, but maybe some of you can infer what I want to say. But I mean, that shouldn't be a problem. That's like actually the only product I wouldn't like suspect from Rotten Dog. But is there another computer you could try? Is it a new computer? Did it start when you put the Rotten Dog computer in?
Thanks for the follow. Live, laugh, lurk. I hope you're lurking around in our chat. Speaking of chat,
That's fantastic.
our friend RW99 asked for pinball trivia.
Pinball trivia? Oh boy.
Yeah, do that, Michael, and jump back on the show.
Pinball
today or
trivia.
next week.
We've had a lot of
Let us know
people following
if it
us
works.
today. That's really cool. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, Michael, try swapping computers first and just see what happens. That's easier than taking the head out. Just give that a shot, and then if it still persists, you know there's not a problem, and that the game is you probably have a problem with the game.
Way Out West followed.
Thank you. I'm trying to think of pinball trivia now, but I want to.
Who was the first company to
What's the best?
tilt ball?
Oh yeah, what did you say? The first company to introduce football?
No, that is actually a good question. Yeah, what was
Bob? Oh,
what was the well? No, maybe not the tilt bob, but what was the first company to introduce a tilt mechanism into a commercially operated pinball game? I'll check back on the chat in just a second, but we have I've
you
kind
know
of
the answer?
ensured that all of the
no.
fuses were good. So
for everyone that's looking at the scroll down here, I put too many P's in Clipper.
oh,
PT Clippers. But the other one
Edible
says
Bard is correct. It is Williams. Harry Williams told a story. There's actually a recording of this. Harry Williams told the story to Roger Sharp, and Roger Sharp recorded that conversation back in the 70s, and Roger and Nate Shivers got together and put those tapes out on the Coast to Coast Pinball podcast. And Harry Williams tells in his own words the story of purchasing the rights to the tilt bob, or a tilt anti-cheat device from some kid that brought him the idea. I don't remember the specifics, but it's a good story. Those are hard to listen to because there's a ton of noise. Roger said that he did a lot of those interviews in like mess halls and like public places, so they're extremely, extremely hard to hear sometimes. Hey, a subscription. Thanks, mate. Cheers. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.
Dang. Way Out West says they got to play the Pinball Circus
appreciate
at
you.
the Hall of Fame. That's super cool, man. That's a great game. Okay. So,
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
we
I
have...
want to play Pinball Circus for an hour.
Yeah, me too.
For a minute.
I need to put a Ramtron in this game too. I've just realized that. So this computer will have to come out before I send it away. But we verified that all of our fuses are good for the solenoid section of the game. I've plugged the solenoids in. That is one thing that we haven't had plugged in ever. I've kept them unplugged just to make sure that the game will not kill itself. So what we will do is now I'm going to turn the game on and just keep an eye back here. I'm going to look for two things. I'm going to look for smoke, and I'm going to look for fuses starting to glow red hot, and we are going to be listening for solenoids locking themselves on. So without further ado, no smoke, no fuses glowing, no explodey solenoids. That's good. I want to say that I've done a visual inspection of everything, but I don't know because that was also a long time ago. Really quickly, we're going to look underneath and just make sure that everything will move. It won't cause any damage. That needs to be greased very badly. That needs to be greased. They all need to be greased. That goes. That is awful, but it goes. This is actually, if I finish Elvira, like if I finish getting it back together next week, we still have like multiple, or a episode or multiple episodes of getting the mechanics good to go, which is going to be the fun part, really. But anyways, hopefully some of this stuff has been good lesson-wise. We're going to, I'll put this camera on the display, and then you guys can just watch me poke things. So we're going to put it in test. We're going to put the, to get it into test on these older games. We, I think switched the cameras around, Emoto.
No.
There's not much information on this one. We want to see the action.
Your action? Okay, hold on. Let me fix the exposure first.
There we go.
Yes, very nice.
It is not September 12th, 1989
so you can
anymore.
actually read it.
The game thinks it is. Oh, I didn't get it into test. It's in audits right now. That's annoying. Go back to the end of audits. Now go forward. Get it back into the tracked mode. Backwards. There we go. So we're going to put it into solenoid test. How do I, oh wait, oh yeah. Okay, so you can actually lock it in place by pushing the center button back down. And then I think you advance with the start button.
It is hot, Kyle, action. This solenoid's like getting hot.
Actually, you know what? I have so many flash lamps missing. They're not wired in series on these games, but I should go, I think there's a box of 89s over here. Let me see if I can locate some bulbs really quick. Yeah, the fat bottom ones. I think they might be in the other one.
Ask as soon as
All right, we'll be right back.
comes back. And now a message from our sponsors.
I think they're
should go back to the
here
product
somewhere.
spotlight.
892.
I'll just put on some music. Wait, hold on. Where's my awesome?
I may have poached all the 89s because I
I
needed
gotta
them.
go here. Ooh, just kidding. I'm go here. All right,
That's totally in.
watch.
Wait, what are those?
Now we got work music.
97.
Spooky. He's really digging. I bet you can find those bulbs
Well, shucks.
Yeah, fat bottom bulbs make the rockin' world go.
It is very beneficial. I've got some in here. I'll just need to get a box of them before I go to Savannah, just in case. But flasher bulbs generally don't go out. I think the lamp that it's trying to drive right now may be on a ramp. It says ramp, so let's move it forward. Unused. Left ramp, back glass vampire. Okay, so yeah, they pair them up. So a lot of the time you have two flashers on the same drive. Okay, so no, it just goes over and over again. Okay, so some of these are working. That's good.
Ow.
Skull, back glass, house. So the skull is not on the game, but the back glass house, where's that? Top right. These are really old and grody and nasty, but I can't tell
I
if
can't
it's
see what you're doing.
I can't tell if it's bad or
Blocked
not.
you. Oh. What did he do behind that screen?
He was cleaning the bowl.
How did he clean it?
Oh, I was just trying to scrub some of the crap
His
off to see if
t-shirt.
I could see the filament, you know.
Is there a part number for that?
Well, here, I guess now that we have one working.
The shirt.
Okay, so this is definitely a bad bulb. Was this one on that same circuit too?
Watch, he's gonna throw it.
That one's definitely bad as well. That's one tip for checking flasher bulbs and stuff like that too. When you do find some that are working and you have some that are suspect, just put it on a test where they do flash, and then just put all the bulbs you have no idea that work or not and throw them into that section.
Yeah, the good old swapperoo. Kyle's cleaning t-shirt, now on sale. 59 dash Kyle Caution.
No. Both of the GI relays work, that's nice.
The name's growing on him though. Just wait.
The AC select relay works. The boogeyman will work. Left side, back glass, D head.
Oh man, where's my boogie?
Oh, D is probably Dracula. Where's Dracula? Dracula is on the right side here. So that is theoretically Dracula. One of these worked. I think the thing is like we need to, at the end of the day, I'm probably just going to put new flashers on the playfield because I'm going to cover them up. We know that a new flasher bulb will work most of the time. Boogeyman flash.
Boogie.
Both of these guys are out. Yeah, I think I can see the break in the filament on this bulb. That's the thing on, I don't think that these are...
Everything I do on this stream is manual.
These are definitely exploded. So I'm going to put two new ones in there and see what they do. Oh, God. It's extremely bright.
Kyle,
What?
how can you tell whether or not something needs to be greased?
Because there's not very many things that do. And I'll show you that when it's time to get to it, which will probably be when we do our first mechanical episode on this game. But things that...
We're going to be doing this game until December 2023.
Okay, there are some things that aren't
You think he'll
working.
look? I don't think he'll look. He doesn't pick. Dance. Dance with the bookies dance.
Okay. we definitely have some things that aren't working, but that's okay. We knew that there was things that wouldn't work, and we'll figure out why they're not working later. But I think we will just continue putting things back together to progress. Hey, Boogeyman.
They've been on there for
Dang, Pez, you're right. He noticed.
I do want to see why these guys aren't working really quick.
How long does a typical rebuild take on an 80 to 90s William Bally machine? For like general or for Kyle?
Well, okay, I can see why these don't work already, so that's good. Let
At
me.
least October 31st. That should be our goal.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see the. Thank you, boys.
For Kyle. Well, if it's on PinTech Live, usually a year or two.
Yep.
If it's not on PinTech Live, he could probably finish it in a day.
No, no. If I had everything in front of me, and depending on how much of a piece of crap it is, like this one, it could take a couple days, depending on how much time you put into it. It depends on the game.
Right.
Judge Dredd.
One solid 8 to 12 hour day.
I will not work in a 12-hour day,
Exactly.
so it would be.
So it'll take 3 days because he'll work like 2.5 hours each day.
No, it takes about
With
it.
breaks.
I mean, it depends on how crappy the game is and what level you're doing it to, right? Like, if you're just like, if you want to like replace, and it depends on your starting game, right? Like, so a really clapped out Addams Family could take you like 2 or 3 days. You know, but a really nice Addams Family or a really nice something like that might just take a day. If you have everything in front of you and you're ready to go. If things are broken, you know, things can take a lot longer. When every single goddamn nut and bolt is corroded together and you need to take a bolt cutter to take them out, right? Those sorts of things take a lot longer. If I didn't have to use the bolt cutters on every single T-nut on this game, right, that would save me hours of time.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We spent a long time just on one T-nut. That was
Well,
being stubborn.
yeah, and then it's just kind of like ballooned out from there. But okay, let's take a look at something really quick. Here's something that we can learn something from. The lamps underneath the rollover inserts were not working. Why were they not working? Well, a lot of the other lamps around it were working. So let's do some inspection, right? At quick glance, we can see that these are all daisy chained, right? They're all wired up in parallel.
You pan the camera.
Huh? Oh. I think Emoto wants me to mess with the camera. So they're all wired in parallel, right? We can see these with these jumper wires, right? Which means that if we lose connection on one of these things, we will lose connection all the way down, which can be problematic. Ignore this wire that is absolutely like not attached to anything because that's our problem.
Yeah.
But let's figure out how we would go and check, right? So we can see that these are all daisy chained. The way to fix this, and exactly how I spotted it, was look at the daisy chain and see where it ends. It clearly ends in this position. There is only one wire coming in here, one wire coming in here. Congratulations, you found the end. Now let's find the start. Follow them backwards. As I followed these wires backwards, and please always do this when you're working on your game. If this happens to your game, whether it's a switch or a lamp, or especially if you're getting into restoring the game or whatever you're doing to it, tug on them. Try to break them off. If it was already broken off, one of them was already broken off, it very easily one of these others could break off. Break it now so you don't have to do things 4 times. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Oh, there we go. There's a wire that's not attached. Let's keep following though, just so we can learn something.
Wait,
okay,
is that
so
the same wire?
these are attached.
Oh.
These are attached. These come up here. They are now attached here. You continue following up here, here. Ah, okay, we found the source. Let's look at the other side of the playfield. Really quick, we can see that those lights are very clearly working. They're right out of range of the camera, but they're there, right there, in the middle, above the boogeymen. They're very clearly working. But as we go down, we also have more lights that are working, but the end are not. So we have found the issue, right? Because we've lost power right here. Does that make sense? Right? This wire has broken off. So now we have lost, that's part of the AC, the power for the rest of these bulbs until the end. So this socket works. This socket works. All of those ones we just looked at work, but none of the ones at the end work because this guy has decided to not be attached. If I poke it, they suddenly all turn on. I think you could probably see that if I adjust the camera correctly too. If we look right here. Nope, my arm is not.
Oh, we saw it.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, we saw it. Just keep your hand there forever.
Forever.
So now that is something you can also use to troubleshoot switches. Switches are also wired in the same way a lot of the time.
Wires are useful.
You can.
Is that same for pop-uppers?
No, not really. But if we look at like when you have like two or three stand-up switches next to each other, sometimes instead of having a row, a column and a row attached to them, this is real common on like Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula. I mean, every week at Fix at Night, you would have to go and fix those center three targets because they just get pummeled to shit. And the way they do it is they'll bring one column in because all of them are on the same column, and then they'll daisy chain it from one to another to another. And a lot of the times you'll find that the middle one is broken, and when the middle one's broken, well, now the right one doesn't work, and it's an easy thing to spot. These are the things you kind of learn when you've done it a bazillion times and you kind of know what you're looking for, but it can, it seems like a complicated problem, but it's actually something quite simple to solve if you know what you're looking for. This is a super easy fix though, because we are going to just bust out the soldering iron and reattach that right there.
Yay. The connections are all soldered. They're not usually clipped.
No, there's no clipping.
Or other connector. It's all soldered together.
Clipping is
Mostly.
extremely is an extremely unreliable source of connecting things. It doesn't hold up. And also, like when you start adding connectors to things, it adds another failure point where something can fail. When soldering fails, it just kind of falls off, and that's how it fails. But you don't have to worry about a crimp being bad versus the connection not making it or something like that. So,
Nice.
okay. Yeah, now you can watch me solder awkwardly,
Yay.
even though I want to be exactly where the camera is. Aaron.
You want me to move it?
No, we should just come
No.
here tomorrow and finish this game.
Okay.
You should just not inhale this.
Yeah, don't breathe solder. It'll probably kill you.
Oh, do you want to try it, Aaron? You want to do the solder?
No, not here. I will not force her to do it here. This is annoying soldering.
I haven't done any soldering yet.
Oh, really? Yeah, this would be the worst way to start.
This goes straight to expert level. Playfield, upright position in the game.
Yeah,
And
bent over. This is my.
one drip of solder.
This
that
is the
you'll
worst
never find
position
again.
for a tall person to work on a game. Is the bent over inside the cabinet, like.
That's why he got a shorter.
Ooh, yeah, I didn't know that. Pinball, Digirati said the Pinball 2000 machines had spade connectors on the solid
Yes.
ones.
Not only that, but
On the
most of
coils.
the WPC 95 games too.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So,
Oh, actually, I have seen that.
so we're talking.
Rick and Morty's coils are all daisy chained as well.
Yep.
I lost the shooter lane, center scoop, and right flippers, slingshot.
Yeah, I mean, that's a
Turned out
standard,
it was
though.
A wire off the center scoop.
That's a standard. I mean, that's how they're all done too, right? If we look at here, right, we have one violet purple wire. If we look at the other one,
Kyle is a professional
there's two.
with this camera.
They get daisy chained.
Yeah.
And that's just
Yeah.
that's that's how you can power a lot of things on the same circuit relatively simply. So
Yeah, don't burn your fingers.
Um,
Kyle only burns my fingers, not his.
yeah, you'll never let that down. I'm sorry. I'll never live that down is what I meant to say.
I know.
But you'll find that a lot
It was
too.
nice.
Like that's one way you can test power. If you look in your schematic and see that the fuse for violet yellow is not exploded, but one or some of the devices are not working, well, that's when you have to go into troubleshooting mode. Some of these manuals will break down what runs on that chain of wire. It's very easy to also just use your eyes instead of using the manual in that instance, where I can come in here and say, you know, if the right slingshot wasn't working, or if neither of these slingshots were working at all, you know, look for loose wires, right? Well, this one's still attached, but it doesn't work. Oh, well, this one's not attached, and both of these wires are split together. This wire goes back to the circuit board and all the drivers, and this one is this one. So if these wires become separated, you've suddenly lost juice from here to there. And this is also very broken. I'm trying to kick that stop out. Yep. This game needs a lot more work. This is insane. I think I'm going to blow off all work tomorrow and just come over here, and we're going to stream it. Right, Emoto? All day.
Yep.
It's not going to be official, but it's going to be Kyle wrenching on a pinball game.
I'll be there.
All right, cool. All right, good. Actually, let's do that. I'll stay until lunch, and then I'm going to leave after lunch, and we're just going to stream. Let's get our hours back.
Okay.
Okay.
We're trying to get partnership.
Anywho, yeah. So
hey,
this.
So Kyle.
Yo.
Where are you? There you are.
I'm going to start putting
I want
these
to go
things
back
on.
up to just the tips and tricks. When J2 was asking, how can you tell whether or not something needs to be greased? They were saying, what did you say? Something about like, oh yeah, their ears just perked up because a whole lot of things don't need to be greased in a pinball machine.
No, yeah,
And so I
basically
think it's
nothing
worth,
except.
just talking about that a little bit.
Okay, yeah, let me show you what needs to be
Don't
greased.
grease everything.
No,
Do
most
not
things don't
grease
need to be
everything.
greased, but there are some things that very much need to be greased, and I will show you basically all of them right now because they're all right next to each other.
Ooh, show and tell.
Things to grease in your pinball machine. This is, you know, this will expand to basically everything, but most of these are going to be specific to Williams System 11. The ball serve. This gets greased. Nothing else. We don't grease the plunger. We don't grease anything, but we grease the pivot. So you can remove your apron, clean off the factory grease, and put a little bit of grease here. There's a stud, and that rotates, and it can get held up. If you grease it, it'll never get held up. So that's one thing that we grease. We oil, and I use a spot oiler to do this because it's simpler. We oil the finger here, the ball serve finger. Do you see how slow that is?
Just a little bit.
That's really bad. That's because all of the factory grease on the spindle is now dried up. So we have a spindle here that is attached to the playfield, and then this guy E-clips onto said spindle. And when the plunger pulls in, it kicks the ball out. And that one is extremely slow, needs to be oiled. Slingshot armatures also need to be oiled right here.
Oh, wow.
The pivot. We're only greasing oiling the pivots. You can grease it. I like using oilers just because you don't have to disassemble everything. But that right there can be oiled. And that's about it. Those are really the only things you'd ever need to oil
Right, yeah, we're cool.
or grease in a pinball machine.
No, Spunky, stop.
I use a like a CV axle grease, like a molybdenum grease that you can get at any auto parts store. And then I use a spot oiler, which I will show maybe tomorrow if we stream. Who knows? But I've shown it on the show
It's a cool
before, but
bottle.
it's just a small
Yes.
bottle of oil with a long hose on the top. And then you just squirt a teeny bit on the pivot.
I did it again. No, come back.
Oh my God.
I don't know. Just don't.
There we go, because I keep hitting your head on the top.
Good job.
Because he's so tall, he doesn't fit many frames.
Grease lightning. Go, go, go. Yeah, no. You do need, it's less is more. Basically everything that you use grease on, less is more always. But
The grease light.
yeah, it doesn't require much, and
And do
those
not
are really
use
the only things.
WD-40.
No, do not use WD-40. WD-40 is not a lube. It's not a grease. It does not have the long-lasting properties that an actual oil has. When my spot oiler runs out, I just put like 30 weight cheap motor oil in it. Just a little bit of something to stick in there and hold itself in. That's all it needs. So, but only pivots. You never grease solenoids. Never. Basically, everything in a pinball game is designed to run dry. It does not require lubrication. These things really don't require very much lubrication either. But you know, this is a 33-year-old pinball game, and it's never really been serviced, right? So it's one of those things where it will work fine for decades before it really needs that service. But when I'm in someone's game like that, and it seems like it needs it, a quick spurt with the oiler, and it's
Thanks
good.
for the follow, cordial, Perot ratio.
I'm gonna go wash my hands so I can touch rubber. That's something. Is another pro tip.
Hey Kyle, what about dielectric grease?
I can't really think of anything to use dielectric grease for. It's not really that useful.
A lithium dry line?
Unlike battery holder contacts, no, I don't think so. I don't think it's worth. That's really not necessary. I think it's more necessary like on something like a car that actually goes through like heat cycles. Dielectric grease is a like corrosion inhibitor.
J2, thanks for the bits.
Oh, hey, thanks.
We
Oh,
appreciate
I'm glad
it.
y'all
Thank
like
you.
this. This is
And
great.
then thanks for the first time chat, Lord Akimbo.
I'm glad.
Thanks for the follow too. Brr, 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 brr. Oh gosh, Opia, thanks for the follow. Brr, 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 brr. I need to. Yeah,
I'm
I
glad
need
you
to
guys find
install
this
that
interesting. Thank you.
plugin.
Yeah, it is. So dielectric grease is
thanks for
a
doing this.
conductive grease that also has like corrosion inhibiting properties. So like on your car, you want to smear that stuff all over your battery terminals, right? But your car goes through like heat cycles and weather and moisture, and those sorts of things will like bond together. That won't ever happen on a pinball game. Lithium dry grease. That is interesting, Spunky, but I would just, I'm a creature of habit. I'm just always going to use the same CV axle grease and 30 weight motor oil because it works, and yeah, I'm sure it might be fine, but I don't know. But again, that is something you do when you need to, if you know what you're doing.
Okay. Brr, 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 brr.
Don't lube your game up too much. I'm gonna go wash my hands because I'm about to touch clean white rubbers, and that's not a good combination, dirt and rubber.
Kyle,
so.
do you want to do that? We have 10 more minutes. You want to go into a Q&A?
Yes,
That's it?
yeah, let's Q&A.
He's going to still wash his hands. So we're going to turn on our music. And we're going to wait for Kyle to come back for some Q&A. Yeah, exciting. All right, Aaron, what's the biggest thing you've learned on this show so far now that you've been here for 2 weeks with us?
Consumer-wise, I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, as far as,
I had a good time talking about operating games too. think
Yeah,
a lot
it's
of
also good
people
tips.
might not ever have the chance to operate games, and not that I do it like a crazy amount or anything, or I used to, but not anymore. But it is important to understand the business side of things. Unfortunately, fun things
Ooh,
also
Shipper
involve
Kings,
business, you know?
Thank you. For sure. So, for all of our first timers, since we have quite a few this episode, thanks so much. It's freaking amazing. We usually go the last 15 or so minutes of the show, we'll open it up to a Q&A. So we'd love to know what games you're working on currently, and if you have any tech questions for Kyle. He is oddly really good at servicing games over the live stream. It's like this crazy skill you have, Kyle.
What did I do?
They can just explain their problem, and then you give these tips and suggestions, and then miracles happen. So if y'all are stuck on somewhere on your repair, just throw it out here in the chat, and we'll see what happens. And plus, besides Kyle, we have a plethora of amazing people, also technicians in this chat, and they are always willing to help. Because at the end of the day, all we want to do is play pinball. So we want every pinball machine working.
That's right. Everyone.
Every single one.
That is true. If any of them are broken,
Pinball out of the
it
land.
greatly perturbs me. Wipeout!
Yeah, let's work on that next.
We might do that. That sounds fun.
Wipeout.
Well, I think the next game, I know one of the next games we're going to work on is definitely the Shadow.
Shadow. Cool.
I want to get the Shadow
Clearbus.
tuned up for Marco and fix all of those funny, goofy issues that it's having. Or just, that game is just, it's just bad. It's all
Okay.
screwed up.
Jerry Vision. Jerry Vision has an error with his thing opto. It's reading always connected.
Yeah,
have
so
any tips?
that's a board that's located next to the motor that thing is driven by, and there's two optos on it. I think there's like, I think it's I'm all the way up, and one says I'm all the way down, like a home opto. So you have two things. Like those optos are really common to burn themselves out. So you either have an opto that's very dirty, or you have one that's absolutely burnt out, or you have cracked solder. It's going to be one of those things. So what you can do is you can try to access the board, remove it, and then you can screw with it off the game. You can use a screwdriver to break the path for the optical sensor and see what it does. You want to check the back of the board where the connector goes for cracked solder, etc. It's probably you're going to find that you have a burnt out opto pair. At that point, you either have you have two options. You either replace the opto pair, which those things are actually kind of hard to find now, or just replace the board. They're not very expensive. And that's about it.
Try it out and report back, as Kyle likes to say.
Report back.
Wait. Oh, yeah. Spunky wants you to stretch. You do some pinball yoga?
Look at my belly. You can see it sticking out right there.
Touch your toes over the pinball machine. Like
This is turning into like some weird
I
fetish.
know you're tall enough to do it.
What do you want me to do?
Like, you go over the pinball machine, go under and touch your toes. Yeah, like that. Exactly.
What if I just did that? You guys would be,
That would be amazing.
you guys would be
We're gonna start
horrified.
a new sub-sect community for pinball called Pinball Yoga.
I'm uncomfortable. Where the hell did these screws go? How did I lose so many
acro yoga.
screws? What is wrong with this game?
All right, Flipstream's got a good one.
Okay.
Oh, wait. And then we'll go to J2. So, actually, let's go to J2 first. J2 says, I have a Godzilla Premium. Congrats.
Good game.
Epic game. And I believe the building mech gets greased or lubed. So thank you for the tips on what to look out for.
Yeah, the manual will tell you where it requires, sorry, I'm writing down I need 2-inch number 6 wood screws for my parts box. the manual tells you where it needs those sorts of things. I am not 100% sure where Godzilla needs that lubrication, but yes, it does require some. But that's the thing too, man, is like you won't have to worry about that for a really long time because it's a brand new game, you know? The building mech, yep. The building mech has a couple points where it does make like contact with its frame to keep it steady and sturdy. So yeah, definitely you'll need some eventually, but.
Flipstream said, I've got a really weak super buck on my Rocky and Bullwinkle. Takes a couple of tries for the ball to make it up the playfield. Replace the coils, sleeves, and the cap, but still struggles. It'll do better kicks sometimes, usually after warming up, but still not as energetic as I would expect. Any tips?
Whew, well,
and everything is tight on the playfield.
Damn, because that's what I was gonna say, is like the reason most of the time those things don't work is because it's not 100% tight, but if you've replaced so many things, that usually means you've tightened it. I'm gonna say, at this point you might want to start inspecting connectors. The 50 volt coils on Data East games are run off of what's it called? The PPB board, which is the board that's kind of under the computer, and it's got like the bridge rectifier on it and stuff. Oh crap, that thing's hella long. That's like a 2.5er. I can't use that screw. We can't keep going. I gotta get parts. We should stream tomorrow. But start looking at connectors and make sure, I mean, what other things on that game run on 50 volts, right? Lots of the times it's like kickbacks, other up kickers. If it's usually like one thing that's not working so hot, like I said, generally it's a tightness thing. So I would start looking at connectors. Make sure you don't have you know, cracked solder. Let me check the condition of some of the headers, right? Like I don't think like losing that much voltage would cause that kind of an issue though, or like just like tiny amounts of voltage. That's weird. The intermittent ones are hard, man. You know,
Flipstream said, drop target reset. It's a 23800 coil stock for the manual.
Well, I would say.
Oh my God, is the music still on? Dang. Why didn't y'all say anything like 20 minutes ago?
The music's been on the whole time?
Gosh, I would have already left the stream. Thanks for sticking around.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. Where was my co-producer at?
We can't hear the music.
West Coast. No, not y'all. I got it.
I would say.
Matthew Talley.
Oh wait, he said just since you went to wash up.
Oh, just since you watched her.
Creepy Q&A, I know. Spooky.
Flipstream, check the other thing too is make sure that it's not the ball path, right? If you feel like you've done everything mechanical correctly, make sure that the
True that.
make sure that you've got good mechanical action of the ball going where it should. One of the most powerful tools you have in your pocket is absolutely your phone camera, and put it in slow motion mode and watch what the ball does. Maybe the wire form is not lined up well. Maybe when it's kicking, the ball is hitting a portion of the wire form and it's kind of, you know, chattering and then falling down. Maybe follow that route. If you feel like you've done everything mechanical, maybe check the above side and see if it's okay. I don't exactly remember where the up kicker on Rocky and Bullwinkle is or what it does, but maybe it's something to look at. Delicious water. Good and good for you.
Scare us into some joggers now. Sleeve was replaced with the coil. Got the coil sleeve diode combo from Market. Oh, thank you.
I'm glad. Thanks for helping us feed our families and cats and all of the above. Yeah.
Far left scoop, it's the Aesop and Sun shot, right under the infamous wrong hat targets.
It's been so long since I've played that game. I love Rocky and Bullwinkle though. It's a really good game.
I love surf music. Because there's a Baywatch back there. See, it's thematic.
Yeah, everyone wants to work on Baywatch again now that it's finally done. I mean, I want to get rid of this thing as much as the next guy. So.
It's just calling to us.
I think we should. No, seriously, Emoto. Are you down to just like chill stream
Yes,
for
I'm
a few
down.
hours tomorrow?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
We'll do it. I think I've completed enough things, and I will have some time, and we can just do a little work on this thing. We'll see what. Maybe you guys will tune in. Maybe you won't. But it'll be fun.
Yeah, come join us. Everyone should work on their games tomorrow too.
Yeah, just do a little Friday
we'll all
thing.
work on our games together. And I'll be busting down walls at my arcade while Kyle streams.
Oh wait, you're not going to be here? Oh, I don't want to.
No, I'll be here. I'll be online. I'm always online.
Okay. What time will this stream start? I don't know. Probably after lunch, my time. I have to actually get some work done, but I can definitely slack off the last 3 hours of the day.
Like, 30 other people at the shop working too.
Yeah, they can do all the work for me.
We're gonna keep your parts coming. Don't you worry about what Kyle's doing.
I gotta unrust myself because like I said, I'm going to Savannah this weekend to do 24 hours of pinball repair like in a row. Over 2 days, so I need to get back into shape. But yeah, I'll make sure I get the rest of the parts for some of the cosmetics on this stuff. I'll buy the ramps, and we can do a little bit of work. Get our Twitch hours up. You get another shipping coupon? Yes, we'll extend the shipping coupon for another 24 hours.
Yeah.
F14.
Definitely, I will. 24-hour repair stream? Oh, okay, so just keep going now.
No. I think I've
And
only
we'll
slept.
Stop tomorrow at 4 p.m.
I've only slept a few hours this week. I need a good sleep before we do that. But that would be a fun thing.
Let's do one last question because we love Pinball Magician.
Yeah,
and then
let's
we'll
do
raid
it.
Mystery Pinball Theater 3000 because
That sounds
he is
great.
our favorite.
I'm excited to see Manu.
Even though there's a lot of other great people streaming today at this time. Anyway, Pinball Magician said F14 Tomcat had all 4 flippers and lock coil stops working after the game warmed up and was played for a while. I traced it back to the rectifier on the flipper power board. Wait,
Yep.
what?
Yeah, so I think that game.
The fall flipper, they lock. Oh, I see. Oop.
That game has a separate 50-volt power
I read that
supply
wrong.
for the flippers and some other devices, and it's a real simple board. I think it's like a capacitor, a rectifier, like a diode or two, and a fuse. And if that rectifier goes, yeah, it'll take out your 50 volts. So that is a common thing. One thing that something on F14 that some people should look into also, especially if you're going to have one in an arcade, is fuse the diverter coils, the ones at the back. Right, you launch the ball and then it sends out those things that go burn, and then they send it down different paths. Those things they'll burn up. If they're activated and the ball sits in the shooter lane, they'll hold themselves on until they catch on fire.
Yeah, rectifier was getting hot and worked good when cold. Yay, James. Thanks.
Yeah, swap it out. You can get new boards or just swap the rectifier. You can spend, I don't know, a couple $dozen on a board or like $5 on a rectifier. Maybe replace the capacitor also and see what it does. But remember, a bridge rectifier is a simple device. It takes AC in and it poops out DC. But if it's starting to go, they'll get hot and they'll stop working. They'll blow fuses. But they're very cheap. So try it out. That might fix your problem quite easily. Quite easily.
And then Spunky asked, what do you both do for Marco when not doing PinTech? I am Marco's marketing director. So I do everything that you see out in public with an awesome team of people that help me. And also do all the show season touring, producing that and designing the layouts that y'all get to experience.
Yep.
And Kyle, you want to explain what you do, Kyle? Or you want me to?
I do what people ask me, and I solve.
All right, so
problems.
Kyle is in the new product and procurement department. So he helps create new products. He helps bring back old products, and his goal is to source parts. Parts for
I'm
you.
just a pinball product manager. I just keep on track of things that we stock and try to get new things made, and just deal with vendors all day, trying to get things done and to us and stuff like that. So it's part of it's really fun, part of it's not very fun, but it ends up being quite rewarding when I have 3,400 pounds of legs and flipper parts showing up next week, finally. So that'll be fun.
We all love what you do because you allow us to keep our pinball machines running, so thank you. And then Erin, behind the camera, she is in our team ops, doing shipping and picking and all that good stuff.
She brings the good spirit and attitude that is deeply needed.
She's truly the unsung hero because she makes sure those parts get to you.
Okay, we're cutting off questions now, but I see Matt asked something too. Road Kings resetting mid-game. Read somewhere to check diodes on the coils. Yes, found their flipper diodes will cause those things to reset. And that's exactly what you found. Good job. Why would this happen? Probably because the diode was the diode falling off, or was it just a bad diode? When you have diodes starting to short out, it just pulls the juice down super hard and causes when it starts pulling all that juice and you're shorting stuff essentially, or just pulling a massive amount of amperage, it drops all the voltages really low, and then that causes your 12 volts, which turns into 5 volts, to also drop low, which causes the game to reset because it needs to. The game has a reset monitor on it, a chip that basically will cut the computer off below a certain voltage so it can't hurt itself. Right? If the computer locked on a bunch of coils, it would burn things up and destroy the game. When it can't think, it needs enough voltage to run the processor to think. So. I need a new Bally pointy shooter rod. We're out of stock. Oh, well, Deanna needs to come back to work and put them together. No, I'm just kidding. You know who's really awesome? Deanna.
By name too.
One day, the other day, I was in the office and I think it was on the stream, and I said, man, I need to make a list because I'm not going to remember the parts I need to get tomorrow. And then my coworker Deanna comes in and slaps a list down on my desk with everything I said I needed to put on the list. I was like, holy shit, you're the best. So hopefully she's here and she sees that at some point. So
that's awesome.
Thank you all for joining. Thank you for all the questions. Next week, we probably will be doing something along the same lines unless Jack Danger emails me back, but he probably won't. So we probably won't do what I'm hoping that we can do, which is fine. But next week will be the last week we're streaming for a minute, because then the next week I'm leaving again. So we'll do a rerun. Emoto will put a rerun on. It's going to be awesome. Emoto's like, yep, I don't have to be here. She's not responding.
Sorry. Well, I was trying to set up a raid to Mystery Pinball Theater.
Oh, okay.
And I went on and Manu was being silly.
Manu is silly. No, thank you guys for coming. It's kind of crazy how many new followers and subscribers we had today for the first time, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Drogger.
Roller game rerun. Damn. No, I don't want anyone to watch those old episodes. Even though those were the episodes where I actually like
We should.
tried to like have a lesson plan, and like I was really scared of saying things wrong, and I was all nervous, and now I'm just sitting here with a messy desk and a big old bottle of water swearing up a storm. You guys are great. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in.
I know, that's what I said, Pez, today. I'm working on some Titan stuff right now, and I was like, let's just put up Elvira. Anyways, we're gonna stream tomorrow, hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll do
I'll
it
be
for a
here
couple
if you're
hours.
here.
The bosses aren't here, so they can't yell at me and tell me I can't do it, so I might as well do it when the bosses are gone. Big brain move.
Hey, I'm here.
No, this is totally water. Here, product placement. Thanks for joining our stream, and here's a great segue to our sponsor. Gerolsteiner, the finest water from
No,
Germany.
they don't sponsor us. I canceled Kyle. Sorry, y'all. Just kidding. All right, so we are going to raid Mystery Pinball Theater 3000. So if you are on Twitch, stick around, please, and then drop a bunch of emotes in there and make it go crazy.
Yeah, tell Manu I said hi and I love him. Big digital hug.
Whoa. Why is
Whoa.
that repeating?
Before I go home, I'm gonna play Foo Fighters right there. Is flipper fatigue a thing? Yes, it is. But most people
Yes.
can't.
Your wrists? Ouch.
It is.
No, he's talking about like the heat of the coil. Most people won't
Oh,
ever achieve a
yes,
game
that's
that
a thing
requires cooling, but
That's
you
a
know.
thing
It's
too.
on your page, Yumota.
All right, y'all. See you tomorrow, maybe.